Wayne Williams. I'm an artist from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm most well known for hiding Bigfoot in my landscapes. I do other stuff too. I don't only do that. I was a musician for a long, long time. Before I became a painter, I was a musician. And this was kind of my fallback. I didn't become a rock star. So I decided to try painting. And I was like, hey, I should have been doing this the whole time. I actually can make some money doing this. You know, trying to be a rock star, just there's no money in it. But anyway, that's what I do now. I put out a few calendars. I work with Doug. I did work with Doug Highcheck on some calendars, and now I have a publisher and I have a coffee table book out. So, I had done regular fine art shows for a long time. Just the normal stuff. Flowers in a vase and bowls of fruit. Stuff like that. Did that for a long time, and had modest success. Not great success, but I was all right. And I've always been interested in the paranormal, and I would listen to podcasts while I paint. And one day I was just painting a landscape, and I just thought, wouldn't it be funny just to hide a little bit in the background here, just for my own amusement, And I probably did that and sold probably 12, maybe more paintings where I never even told the person they had a Bigfoot in the painting. They just liked painting, And I just thought it'd be funny that someday, they'd walk by their painting and just kind of out of the corner of their eye, they might be all like, hey, wait a minute, what is that? So I just did it for my own amusement. And then one day I was having an art show that was really slow. It's like nobody was staying in my booth, and I was getting really frustrated. So I started just telling people, it's like, hey, this painting right here, there's a hidden Bigfoot. See if you can find it. And before long, I had a ton of people in my booth, looking at the painting and digging it. And I was all like, well, maybe I should start telling people. Then I came home and I thought, I wonder if there's any Bigfoot groups, on Facebook. And I looked, and there's like a million of them, So I joined a few, and I posted, a couple of my paintings, and be like, hey, what do you guys think of this? Is this fun or what? And people really, really took to it and really, really liked it. And I couldn't believe it. It really exposed, my painting to a whole new audience, and people just thought it was cool. People thought it was like Where's Waldo, but slightly cooler, And it's like, it was more for adults, adults like it more than children, which is kind of weird. But so it just kind of took off from there. I just started doing it all the time. But, now, I don't only do that now. I paint. Now, I still do flowers every now and then and stuff like that. It's funny now that I get anything I do, people are trying to look for a Bigfoot in it. It's like, no, it's a seascape. There's no Bigfoot, in that picture. So a lot of times I have to clarify that before I even post it. So.
Do you ever hide Loch Ness in any of your seascapes?
Absolutely. That's a little harder to hide. I had hid it before, but most of the time with like Loch Ness Monster or sea serpents or something like that, I'll make them kind of obvious. But I have hit them from time to time. I kind of like making them obvious, though. Those. And I've done like Mothman. I've done, Dogmen. Lots of ghosts. I've done actually quite a few ghosts. And sometimes I hide things. Sometimes I don't. It's weird. I got asked to do a Wendigo one time, and I didn't know much about them, and I started kind of researching. So, give it a shot. And I started having bad dreams, really weird dreams, really creepy. And then one morning I got it. I had worked on it a little bit and was not going. I was talking to my customer, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't like how this is going. I kept walking by it, in my studio. And I just put it aside, and it was creeping me out. And there was one morning I got up and I saw the word Wendigo everywhere. It was really weird. It was like I saw some actress in some movie. I was like, what was that other movie I saw her in? And I IMDb'd, her career, and it was like the first movie that came up was Wendigo. I thought, well, that's strange. And then I saw that word about 3 or 4 more times within the space of like 2 hours. And I was all like, no, this is very weird because I haven't seen that word like in years, probably, and all of a sudden now I'm seeing it everywhere. So I got a really bad vibe off that. I just told the guy, like, I really don't want to paint that. I just, for some reason, it's creeping me out, and I just get a bad feeling. And he was really cool with it. He completely understood. So he claimed to have seen one, and he was like, yeah, it was terrifying. I don't know why he wanted a picture of it. And terrifying what he saw. So yeah, I stay away from some things like that. I've been asked to do kind of demons and stuff, and I don't do any of that. I want to keep it light.
You ever like been out looking for Bigfoot?
I have a bunch of friends who invite me all the time. In Indiana, there's southern Indiana, you might find something, but there's nothing really that close to me. And I'm not in super great shape, and I've got some issues with my neck and back, and so I can't really hike very long, and so it kind of sucks. It's like I would love to go out with some of my friends a little more, but I really don't. I don't even camp anymore, but it's something I wish I could.
Well, that's why you paint them, bring them to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it was the last weekend. She was showing me some of your paintings, and I was just like, way too close to my computer because some of them are pretty difficult to find.
Yeah, it's funny. I get, if I make them too hard, I get people complaining.
Yeah.
And then if I make them too easy, then people complain. So I try to do a variety. I try to do some easy ones. I try to do some ridiculously hard ones, and everything in between.
Like, since you paint them, are you able to like pick them out real fast, or do you find yourself?
No. I forget all the time. When I do shows like cryptid shows and everything, I have people, looking at my display, and they'll ask, where's the Bigfoot in this? And I'll be all like, well, let's find it together, because I don't remember. So yeah, after I've done so many of these, I've done hundreds of these at this point.
Yeah.
And
makes sense.
So we kind of went over how you got interested, the background of your painting, what inspired you to paint Bigfoot, and what other paranormal paintings you do. There was one that you did. It was a castle, and it was like a trail, and I think it was a ghost of what I thought it kind of looked like a knight.
Yeah, it was a knight.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
Yeah, I loved that painting. How do you paint those then? Like, what materials are you using? Acrylics or watercolors?
No, these are all oils, and oils and canvas. Sometimes I'll paint wood, but it's mostly always canvas. Yeah, it's simple oils on canvas, and yeah, I do use a medium that speeds up the drying quite a bit.
What is a medium?
It's something you add to the paint, sometimes to make it more fluid. There's actually the one I use, it's called liquid, and there's lots of different uses for it. Matter of fact, some people use it as a varnish. It actually works really well. And if you want to do layers of a painting, like the old masters, if they painted a hand, sometimes they would go through and they'd paint the veins, then they'd put a clear coat of a medium over it. They'd wait for that to dry, then they'd start putting the skin over the hands, and that's how That's how like they get unbelievable detail and realism in that with these doing these layers, and that's what a medium is for,
Okay.
or one of the uses.
Like, if you're gonna do a painting of Bigfoot, where you gonna put Bigfoot comes first, or does he come in like later on as you're developing your scene?
It's almost the very last thing. I actually look for shadows and things that already look a little bit like Bigfoot, you
Mhm.
know, and I'll take something like that and I'll just kind of work it out a little bit, put kind of a face on it, and sometimes they're too small to even put a face on it, and you'll just basically have a black shape, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's usually one of the last things I do. And sometimes I don't put a Bigfoot in it. People assume that I put Bigfoot in it in everything. Sometimes I'll do a painting, I'll be all like, it doesn't need it, you know. So there's that.
Is there like always a tension to having Bigfoot, or you like got your painting? I'm like, oh, that might be a good hiding spot. Put 'em right there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That happens a lot. We paint and go, that'd be a good spot. It's usually the last thing I do. It's like I'll complete the painting and as long as I'm happy with it, that it could stand on its own, it doesn't have to have, and I'll admit, the Bigfoot thing's a little bit of a gimmick. I'm not going to lie. I didn't reinvent the wheel or anything, but it has brought a lot of attention to the paintings, and that's all I can ask for. My book that I'm kind of proud of is it's very unique. It's there is a little bit of a narrative that runs through the book. It's not just the paintings. I actually kind of started kind of like it's kind of a story. You start in the spring and you're searching for Bigfoot, and each scene or painting that you're in, you stop and you look, you see how many Bigfoot you see. And at the very end of the book, I can show you. I got it right here. I show you where they all were, so I don't leave you hanging. Oh yeah. So there's pages. They show you where they all were. But yeah, so the book, it's supposed to be, I call it a expedition from your couch. You know, it's like you go through each page and you see what's kind of staring back at you. And there is a little spot if you wanted to. Most people are like, I'm not going to defile the book, but there is a spot where you can write down how many creatures you see. It's called the creature count. And you can write that down on the book if you want. And then when you're all done with the book, you can go back and see if you were right or not.
Wanted to make your book, like what were some of like the inspirations that you had to create it, and what steps did you have to take to make your book?
The first thing was I had to find a publisher. I had a publisher for a while that did my calendars and stuff, but I decided to try a new publisher that I thought I was going to have a little more control with, which I did. They were great to work with, and it's Baldwin Brown Publishing, by the way. And so that was the first thing, is find a publisher and pitch my idea. I had this idea for a long time. I'm like, I think this would be kind of a cool book, and it's a coffee table book. You could enjoy the art if you don't like Bigfoot. I mean, there's a ton of people who bought it who are like, I don't like the Bigfoot thing. I just like your art, And but if you like the art, and you like the Bigfoot concept, it's fun, and like I said, it's like for all ages. I have some people who are like, yeah, every night before I go to bed, I take one page and I look for the Bigfoot, and these are adults and stuff. Then I've had some grandparents tell me how much they like doing it with their grandkids and stuff. So as far as inspiration and stuff, I don't know. I'm not sure I've seen a book quite like this. Yeah, I can't think. It's definitely different. I know the next book I do, I think I want to make the story like a better story. Because right now, what I did with this current book was just make a narrative that ran through it. It wasn't really a story. It was more like, hey, today you're here, you know, and it's very cold out, and you had camped all night and you got up, and this is the scene you're seeing. Do you see any Bigfoot here? And then it goes through all the seasons, and but it doesn't really have much of a finale. So I think the next book I do, I want to have a better narrative. I want a real story. I'm like, I could write a story. I could write an interesting story. And the publisher's great. They correct all my grammar and horrible spelling, and so I think that's what's going to be in store for the next one, I should say.
How long does it take you to do a painting start to finish?
It depends on how much detail I want to put in it and how big it is. Um, I would say, like, I can do. I have one around. Here's a here's a 16 by 20, and I can do something like that in a couple days usually. I have smaller paintings that are like a 11 by 14, and I can usually do one a day, and then I'll let it dry a little bit overnight, let it get a little tacky, and then I might go over and put some detail in, a little more detail in it. So really, I could technically do a painting about one a day, So everyone's like, "Oh, you're cranking them out," and I'm just like, "Not really." It's like if you painted as much as I do, you'd understand. It's like I get up in the morning, usually around 6, and I'll start painting, and sometimes I won't get done until 7 in the evening, 8, or later, and I just do nothing but paint, and I have to because I might do a painting and I'm real proud of it, and I'll post it, and there'll be crickets. Nobody will be interested in it at all. So it's like, oh, okay, I got to get something else painted right away that will sell. It's the only way I could, keep the lights on. I tell people I'm like a shark that has to keep swimming. You can't really stop. And so yeah, it looks like I'm cranking them out, but it's not. It's just I'm painting constantly. Hours and hours a day. I'm getting better. I tell people it's like I'm getting a lot better with all these hours of painting.
It's just the creative mind. Just it never stops. That's why you're up at 6 in the morning.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's so fun. It's still
Yeah,
fun to me. There's some very famous artists. There's like Kwang Ho. He's a great artist. He told me one time that he just every day he just couldn't wait to get up. Sometimes he'd get up before his alarm because he just was excited to paint, and I get that. I really do. I like the challenge, of it. I want to do every painting, is better than the last one you saw. Is my goal. It doesn't always happen. It almost never happens actually, but occasionally it does.
the more you
Definitely.
do it too, the quicker you get stuff done too. Yeah, it might take you one day to paint. Like I do a lot of video editing. I'm always thinking about it, and then the more you do it, the faster it just goes. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely know how to get, from A to B a lot quicker than I used to. I have what I consider like a demonic encounter, and I think I've had an angelic encounter. And I guarantee you these are going to be some of the more different. It's going to be one of the more unique paranormal stories you've ever heard. I tell these stories to people, and they're like, "What?" So, okay, I'll just tell you. Back when I was in high school, I was in a rock band, and I played drums in this band, and we had saved up a bunch of money, and we decided we were going to put on our own showcase show. And so we rented out this building that they used for this exact thing to put on shows. It was kind of a barn, I think they call them, just this big kind of empty nothing to it kind of building that just had a stage. It had a bar that you could use for a snack bar if you were under 21, which we were. And it had a couple garage doors to load in and load in, or load in and load out equipment. So we were going to do this show. And the night before, we were setting up all of our equipment, and we had just got done, and we were all kind of at the soundboard and kind of in the middle of the room, saying goodbye to each other. And like, hey, we'll see you tomorrow. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we hear this loud cackling laugh, just like someone had heard the funniest story ever, and we're just laughing their head off. And we look up, and on one of our PA speakers, this guy was sitting on our one of our PA speakers, and he was just belly laughing, just going backwards, just unbelievable. He looked like, if you've ever seen the movie The Shining, he looked like the groundskeeper of The Shining. If I forget, Scatman Crothers.
Batman Crothers.
Yeah, he was the actor, but he looked like Scatman Crothers. But anyhow, he was just laughing his head off. And we're all totally creeped out. We're like, how did he get in the building? We just like locked everything up and we're getting ready to go out the door. We would have seen him come in, you know. And we all kind of looked at each other and was like, well, somebody's gonna chase him out, you know. So everyone kind of pushes me forward and like, go talk to him. So I went up to him and I'm like, hey man, what are you doing here? And he's like, hey, I got something for you. You're gonna love this. And I'm like, okay, I'm a little worried about this. He he did the craziest thing. He reached behind his back. I don't even know how he got his fingers around these. It was crazy. It was like out of a cartoon or something. Just reached out behind his back, pulled out a stack of Polaroids that his fingers could barely fit around. And he was like, I can get you some of this. And then I'm like, oh God, what is this? And he started flipping through these Polaroids and they were super pornographic. And I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's a pimp. Okay, that's what his deal is. And I'm like, oh man, no. We're not into any of that. No, we don't want any of that. And he's like, okay, no, I can get you anything. And I'm like, okay, maybe, maybe he's dealing drugs too. And I'm like, no, not interested in that. And then suddenly he gets real serious and he's like looking me straight in the eye and he's like, I can get you anything. What do you need? What do you want? And I'm like, totally creeped out. And one of the guitar players in the band finally kind of came up, and of course he's going through the Polaroids. I'm like, dude, don't do that. And I'm like, okay, I'm not interested in anything you're selling, dude, or whatever. And he just kept looking at me, going, anything, what do you want? What do you need? And I was like, man, no, there's nothing. And so I grabbed the guitarist and we're walking back to the soundboard where the rest of the band is and crew. And how when you want to talk about somebody and you kind of look over your shoulder to make sure they're not, listening. By the time I walked 25 feet back to the soundboard, we all kind of huddled. And before I started, because everyone was like, what does he want? What does he want? I looked over my shoulder to see, okay, is he going to hear or not? And when I looked over my shoulder, he was gone. And we're all like, what the hell happened to him? And we're like, okay, he's got to be hiding. He's hiding in here somewhere. So we all go and look. And there, like I said, there's nothing to this building. He would have had to walk by us to get out. We had everything locked up, the garage doors. It was, there's two garage doors and there was just one other door that you would let the people in and out and everything. And there was nothing to this. And we looked around for that guy for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes and couldn't find him. He absolutely disappeared. So the other weird thing is nobody but me remembered that. We had talked about that right after it happened for months. We brought up that weird, creepy guy. And then I started talking to some of those people who were there. This that band, broke up and hadn't talked to a lot of. Matter of fact, the singer's dead now, but some of those other people in the band I'd got a hold of. I'm like, remember, that terrifying guy, and nobody remembered it. And I'm like, how could you not remember this? So it took me a long time, and finally, I found one of the crew guys. Was like, oh, I remember that guy. So I do have validation, but it's so weird that no one else remembered it. But
Yeah, no kidding.
so that was a very creepy story. We don't know. The guy just appeared, was creepy with us, and then disappeared, and no idea. A lot of people said, "Oh, that was your crossroads moment." If he probably could have made you a famous rock star and everything. And I started thinking about it. Of the band members, I was the most desperate. I was the most poor. I was definitely. It was my life. I wanted to become a rock star so bad. I mean, it was all I thought about. It's all I did. And so I don't know. Maybe that's why he was so adamant, about me. But I don't know. So that was that story. That was kind of a demonic story. Um, have kind of an angelic encounter, I think. And this one is really weird because it involves a toilet, of all things. Um, Back when my kids were little, I had the job I was working at had gotten really slow, and I wasn't getting a lot of hours, and it was we were not doing great financially, and our toilet suddenly screwed up, and we bought a new one. And I remember thinking, how hard could it be, to put in this toilet? And so I tried to put it in. There was something wrong, just was not going in right at all. And I was getting so frustrated. And a project that should have took maybe a half an hour to put in suddenly was into its like second day, of me trying to figure this out. And even one of my buddies whose dad had owned a plumbing business stopped by, and he had tons of plumbing experience, and he stopped by and he was even baffled why this was not working. And I was going to hardware stores and finding their plumbing experts and just going, listen, I got this thing, it's not fitting right and I don't understand. Nobody knew what I was talking about. I had absolutely no help. And my family was so over me. We had no money to get a plumber. And I just couldn't find anybody to help me. And it was just a disaster. And I really was depressed. And there was another, I think it was on the third day or so, I was, I just decided I'd just go to a hardware store again and just look around. Maybe something would jump out at me. And so I go to a Menards. I don't know if you have those where you are, but the hardware store. And I was in the plumbing aisle, just sitting there, just so depressed. And there was a guy about 10 feet away, and he's like, "Hey, what are you working on?" And I didn't want to talk to this guy. He didn't work there. He was just a customer. And I looked over, and he looked like this young guy, might have had some mental issues, maybe. He just looked like this sad guy who just wanted to talk. It's one of these people just wanted to talk to you. So, I mean, normally I'd be all over that and I'd be real kind, but I was just so frustrated. I did not want to talk to the guy. So I kept just kind of going, don't worry about it. I just got this plumbing situation I'm dealing with. Finally, I mean, he really kind of got up my face. He's like, no, tell me, what is the problem? And I was like, all right, well, this can't hurt. So I told him, went through every detail I could about it, and he just kind of nodded. And then he walks away, grabs something that was literally 6, 7 feet away from me, grabs this part, comes back, hands it to me, tells me exactly how to put it in. And I'm looking at this part. I'm like, why didn't I see this? And I think this is perfect. This will work, you know? And I'm flipping out. And at that same time, my wife walks up and the guy walks away. And I mean, he's just, I can see him out of the corner of my eye. And I told my wife, I'm like, this guy just came up and told me exactly how to fix it. I'm like, this is great. And she's like, did you thank him? And I'm like, I think I did, but I'm going to make sure. So he had just turned down to another aisle. And I walked real fast down there to catch up to him. And when I got in that aisle, I saw him going. He was not there. He was gone. And I looked around all over the place. I'm not going to say I looked through the whole store, but I mean, I looked, pretty hard because I was like, this is unbelievable. I really need to thank this guy. And he was nowhere to be found. And so to this day, I think that was some sort of angelic meeting, because this guy had all the answers. I mean, he just told me, he just told me everything I needed. And it was just perfect. And I went home and had it in and working in 15 minutes. So it was crazy.
He wanted to be a rock star, and
I got close. I tell people I got close.
then he got into painting, and it was something that you were already painting, but then you just decided to hide Bigfoot one day.
Right, right. It
And
was
it's
changed my life. It was weird, like I said, I had modest success. I did all the art shows, and I did solo shows and exhibitions and stuff, and did okay, but I definitely have formed my own path. Definitely kind of built my own pirate ship, and I'm kind of just doing it my way. You know, it's definitely I don't think anyone's doing it like this. So definitely unique, I think.
Very cool. Very cool. How did you get in? Where did Bigfoot come in to this?
Well, I've always been interested in it. I mean, I'm of that age where the show In Search of, with Leonard
It's
Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy. Yep.
Yeah.
Very familiar.
Uh, I'm of that age where I remember my dad coming to get me real quick, and he was like, "You got to come here and see this on the TV," And it was the episode of In Search of that showed the Patterson Gimlin film, and I never heard anything like this. And I'm like, "Oh my God, can monsters be real?" And that had a huge, effect on me. And my uncle gave me a book called see amazing let's see amazing stories, and I forget, it was like a time life book, and it was all about mysterious things, cryptids and just crazy stories, ghosts, all kinds of weird things. And I read that book cover to cover so many times, and I just loved it. And so that's what hooked me on the paranormal. Those two events really were huge in my life.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. In Search was a big influence for me too when I was really young.
Yeah. So and so many of us, you're probably around my age. And that was so influential. Because there was nothing like that on TV. Nothing,
No, no, nothing at all.
nothing. No one was talking about weird things. Just no one did it. It was just not talked about,
Yeah.
until that show.
So what is that? What exactly made you pick Bigfoot to hide into the paintings then?
Well, I do a lot of landscapes. I love painting landscapes. It's my favorite thing to paint. I love creating worlds, and because, just because it's a landscape, it's just, I thought it'd be so cool to just hide a little Bigfoot somewhere in it, and I was telling
Mhm.
everyone else earlier that, I did that, and I didn't tell anybody. I just did it for my own amusement. And I sold, a dozen or more paintings that I never even told the people. I've had people contact me now, and they're being like, "Is there a Bigfoot in my painting that I bought from you?" And it's been there's been a couple. I've been like, "Yeah, there actually is." They've been thrilled, that
Oh, I
they're
bet. I bet.
they're real excited about. But Yeah, so that's kind of the background on that. I just started doing it just for fun, and it kind of blew up. I put out 3 calendars, and now the book, coffee table book. And
Yeah, I
it's
think you're
it's
going
it's
to
on
book.
Amazon too. I don't think I mentioned that. It is on Amazon, and like Emma said, it's called Your Bigfoot Expedition.
I'm going to
Cool.
send a link to Sarah so she knows what to get you for Valentine's Day.
There you go.
It's nothing says love like that.
Yep. The paranormal.
Absolutely.
I've spent way too long looking at this one photo searching for Bigfoot, and I cannot find him. And this is why I can't be a Bigfoot hunter. So I've been editing this video and I was waiting on just a couple of things before I posted it. One of them was I bought the book. Travis also bought the book. His came before mine, and we both bought them from Amazon, but we both wish we would have bought them through Mr. Williams. That way we could have had signed copies. So keep that in mind if you want signed copies, that you can purchase them right through Tim. Now, my honest opinion, I love this book. It's quite a large coffee table book. It's hard covered. Um, I got it 2 weeks ago, and I've sat down and gone through it. My kids have all sat down and gone through it. There's quite a few of them in here that really stumped me. I could not find Bigfoot at all. I actually had to go in the back. There is so right after his author's note, there's cheat sheets to all of the paintings. He mentions this in the video, and I had to go through. It was actually page 16. I spent at least 10 minutes looking for Bigfoot in this photo. It's it's one if you want to sit and just look at all of the paintings. They're all very beautiful. But searching for Bigfoot in these, you're there's quite a few of them that it will take you quite a bit to find them. He hides them really well. There's some that are really easy. Um, my 6-year-old, I have a 6-year-old daughter, and she gatekeeps. So if she finds Bigfoot, she won't tell anybody where he is. She likes to see everybody suffer trying to find him. And I like the story that goes with these. So Tim has curated a story to go through to take you through the book, and it takes you through the seasons. You start in spring, go into summer, go into fall, and then winter. And the story in spring, the very first page of spring, after careful planning and organization, it's time to begin your expedition. Today you start on a brisk late spring afternoon. There have been recent sightings in this area. Your job is to confirm the sightings and take an account of the creatures. Did you see any today? I really love the autumn paintings that he does, like with the dark colors. They're all very beautiful. There's so many that I wish I could I could put up in my house. And actually I think that this is the painting that he did on his YouTube channel, where it was sort of an ASMR style video, and he paints this photo. And I don't remember where Bigfoot was in this one. Oh, yeah, he was hidden back here. It's very dark. You are looking at it, and then you have to like get really close, and then you find him. I look forward to him creating more. I would buy every single one that he did. His technique, his style, I really love. And I mean, Bigfoot in the paranormal field, Bigfoot in general, I mean, he fascinates so many people. I think that this would be a really great gift. I've actually considered maybe buying them as Christmas gifts for my teammates. I have quite a few Bigfoot enthusiasts in my team, and I think that um, this book would be a really great addition to their collections. I highly recommend buying it. I think that any age you are, you're gonna love this book. My dad is 76, I'm 36. I've got little kids, I've got teenagers and little kids, and all of us have sat down and thoroughly enjoyed this, whether we were just sitting by ourselves looking through it or everybody was kind of looking through it together. I really love it. I think that many others would love it as well. So, in addition to purchasing the book, I also purchased a painting. Tim had it available on his Facebook page. I had saw it. I'm really in love with his gothic landscapes, and the castles are definitely up my alley. I had reached out to him and asked him how much it was. And after discussing the price, it was really simple as far as the buying process. He, took my address for shipping, but then he took down my email, and then he emailed me an invoice that I was able to pay just through my email. It was through Square, which is really safe and secure. And the painting didn't have a Bigfoot in it, but because I asked, he added a Bigfoot for me, and he actually added two Bigfoot. Because he needed to add them in and let the paint cure and dry, it took a little bit longer for shipping, but when it arrived, it was perfectly packaged. Like nothing as far as the integrity of the painting could have been destroyed. It was packaged really well for the price and just everything about this painting. I am so in love with it. I want to share it with you. So I believe it's a 16 by 20. It is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Blues and greens and browns, very dark, very sort of macabre. I love the castle. I have a Bigfoot here hiding behind a rock, and I have another Bigfoot scaling sort of that hillside. It is perfect. I cannot wait to hang it up. I wanted to show everybody. I really love being able to say now that I have a hidden Bigfoot painting. I have an original Timothy Wayne Williams painting in my house. But I really love that we're able to support an artist, especially in the paranormal field. We don't often see artists in the paranormal field. And I think that what he's doing is really unique and it's very different. If you're thinking about a gift for somebody who's like a really Bigfoot lover in your life, definitely don't even think about it. Just do it. The book is amazing. I really want to encourage people to support him. Being an artist is somewhat of a challenge at times. Um, I want to be able to come together as a community and help encourage other artists to come forward and, get into this, whether they're painting vampires or ghosts or monsters or anything. I think that art in itself is really beautiful, and I think that being able to collaborate and incorporate it into the paranormal field is even more beautiful. So if we can support our artists, I think that that's what we need to do. I strongly recommend following Tim. Even if you can't buy the book, you can't buy a painting, just being able to follow and then share the paintings that he does do and watch out for future projects that he's working on, I think is really really great in itself. Being able to support him in his endeavors and continue to share the word on the incredible artist that he is.